I paid $550 for it. My grandmother sent me $500. I don't know where I got the other $50 back in 1972, but I turned 21 in 71 and I bought this in 72. Been in storage ever since. It's a 1956 Porsche Speedster.
All right, John, can we get this thing out of here before this falls on here? This car is a very good example of what we do because the name Dusty Cars derives from the fact that we buy cars with dust on them. Valued cars that somebody put away years ago, often with plans to do something with it, but as is often the case, life changes and those aspirations don't always work out. It can be traumatic for somebody to let go of their dream, and we understand that. We know that it's a kind of a hard decision to make often for people.
We were not sure that he was going to sell us the car. We were able to work out a deal and purchase the car from him.
It was in a storage area, completely buried. Couldn't even see it in there. And he had held onto the car for 47 years. He bought the car back in 72. And he had always planned on fixing the car up, but it never happened.
Probably just the only time it moved around was from going from one storage facility to another storage facility.
It was a nice car to get a hold of. Me and John had a lot of fun going up there, especially with Speedsters and the more hard-to-find models. It's often very questionable whether the person will even agree to sell the car. So these are the kind of cars that we like to get a hold of. Long-term storage, rare cars. Certainly a Speedster fits into that category. It's been in California dry storage the entire time, which that's the best atmosphere for the metal to not corrode because it doesn't get excessively hot here, it doesn't get excessively wet, and there's very low humidity. So this is a perfect example of how well metal holds up when it's not exposed to salt or humidity or water. So the gaps in this car are real good. Doors are a little sticky because this door hasn't been open in decades. Bottoms of the door are nice and dry. This original paint here looks to me, so I think this is probably originally a red car. I see no signs of overspray around this factory tag here either. So my bet is that it's originally red. Some of the shrouding is taken off. Carburetors are still on it. We were able to get a Cardex on this right away and verify that this is the original engine. Hasn't been started in a long time, but it turns freely. Usually that's an indicator that we'll be able to start this engine. From what the owner told us, it was running fine when he parked it. I'm not sure if these door jambs may have never been painted, which is nice. And again, the inside of the doors here are real good. This looks like factory rubber here.
No, it hasn't been opened up in a while.
So the spare here got a little bend in it. All-state radio. Definitely not the original, it's a Sears tire. Looks like a date correct wheel. Battery box looks real good in here. It's like a mouse has been living in here at one point or another. And left a couple of his acorns.
Few generations of mouses.
Well, it's a good thing he didn't restore it because it looked like he was planning on using a little Bondo. Smooths, seals, fails.
Perfect label. That's an antique.
Now we're going to inventory all the parts that are in the car because as far as we know, virtually everything is right here inside the car and nothing is missing, to the best of the owner's recollections. So here we have the original gauges.
The front one up.
Very important, the original windshield frame.
Hold on, look at my
an early 70s license plate.
I don't think that appears to be with the
Here's the original door panels. Amazingly good condition.
They actually use the, are those the original?
Yeah, these are probably the original things here.
So that would be the... Always a surprise in every box. Rear tail lights. This is somebody's spear, obviously. Pretty lethal weapon here.
Oh, he must have liked eating there, huh?
Hole in the back, but you can see all the original screws inside. Oops. Don't lose those. There.
Part of the windshield frame.
I love these
Right
bags
lights.
because every time you look in them, you find a neat surprise. Look at this nest. Somebody was really comfortable in this seat.
Not pitted. This shows you where the car was stored.
We can now see the original wood frame.
I think there's somebody that might like it. Come here, boy.
Wimbledon golf ball. Here we go.
Original hood emblem. It's very difficult to say what every one of these is. Some of these things may just be insignificant, but then again, some of these may be original pieces that, as we put the car back together, we'll be happy that we held on to them.
Original wood swing, made out of redwood.
The other original emblem, slightly U-shaped. It's original nail from the Porsche factory, Porsche nail. This is important. This goes right here, in case you ever have to just jump out.
Hickory kick.
You know, you never know what's gonna happen on the road, so.
And Chilton's. Also in here, we have more molding. Hold out. Ooh, here we go. Something fell out of there. Look at that. I think we almost found all of them.
The wooden section of these seats, very good condition. A little split here, but metal is all really good. These seats are often very badly deteriorated or missing.
All these nuts and bolts out here. The other piece.
Okay, another one of these. So it's nice and solid in here. Even the floor of the original battery box appears to be very good and intact, which is very rare because these are one of the most rust-prone areas of the car. You've got your original wood floorboards there. The original front floors are very, very good. Somebody's put some kind of a patch panel in the rear here years ago. And also another key area is the bottom of the rear seats. Often an area that gets rusted, particularly in its speedsters, because if the speedster's ever put outside, water accumulates right there, and quite often they will rust there. And this appears to just be original paint here.
We're lucky enough to find most of all the original pieces, screws, washers, trim pieces, rubber gaskets, upholstery, which is very nice to have everything original for the car. If we're going to restore the car, or whoever's going to restore the car, they have that collection of original pieces that came with the car is very important.
Some of the pieces are a little bit difficult for us to identify, but our technicians, particularly Brian, will be able to identify every single part. And so we'll have him and Richie go over everything and reclassify it to put the whole car back together with all the original pieces as possible, and then get the engine started and see where it is in terms of making the car back to a driver. We may ice blast the floors so we can see all the original spot welds and everything in there. Haven't really made a decision on that yet. At any rate, we're very happy with the car, and this is going to be a fun little project putting it back together and seeing what it looks like when it's all in one piece. After Brian got the engine tested and determined the compression was good, he rebuilt the original carburetors, cleaned the fuel system to get it ready to run it and see exactly how well it would run. A lot of the gaskets and seals were deteriorated from age, so we replaced those new on reassembly. It's rare to find one of these with all its original parts, and it's hard to know what somebody's really going to want to do with it. Somebody may want to drive it the way that it is, or it's also a great candidate for a 100-point restoration. And so we just wanted to reassemble it and show all the original parts and that everything that was there, so the next person could determine what they want to do with the car. gauges were in somewhat beat-up condition from sitting in boxes for decades, and so we sent them over to Palo Alto Speedometer to have them cleaned and checked. The original windshield was unfortunately cracked, so we replaced it with a factory replacement and installed it in the original frame with a new gasket. We put quite a bit of time and thought into reassembling this 1956 Speedster. We wanted to retain its original character because all the original parts were virtually there, a lot of very, very rare parts, and we wanted to get it back in one piece and retain that original character, yet we also wanted to be back to a condition where it could be driven.